Good day, everyone. In this video, I will continue the token-based authentication, which act like a session in Node-RED and UIBuilder. If you are new to my channel, don't forget to like and subscribe. So, to start with my own implementation of token-based authentication, I will first explain the flow in Excel. So, here in the index.html, I added the onload function or event listener which triggers every time we load the page. So the onload function, it starts with getting the item token from our browser storage. So to check if we have token in our local storage, you can press Ctrl, Shift, and I in the application. Let's check if there is a key token. So right now, it has none. Next is we create a session variable with property topic, value startup, token, and the ID, which the ID we tried to retrieve or the token we tried to retrieve from the local storage. Currently, this ID is null. Next is we start the UI builder. Then in the UI builder, we send the session. So one important thing to remember with UI Builder is when you perform that send from the UI Builder node, it passes the message from this path, data from the front end, goes to the next node, and so on. So currently, our topic is startup. So the startup goes here, and our message to the token. Note that this session is the message with the token is undefined, which means our session here is also undefined. Here we try to check in the server side if we have a key token. Right now, the value of details from flow.get, that whatever token that was or value of the token is undefined. This leads to our message to that session to be undefined. Note that the next part of the flow is this one, in which it returns to the UI builder. So the message is passed from here. It returns to the UI builder and it triggers the method on change from our index.js. Now our topic was startup, and so message is the message here, and our topic is startup. Since our session is undefined, it sets the slug flag to false. From our previous tutorial, slug is the flag we use whether we display the login form or the B container displaying the components. Since it is false, the login component is displayed or the login form. Now what happens when we log in? A modification in our login component is that during login, I already added access to API using Axios. So we have an endpoint tots.login, which is this one, and it tries to check whether the user exists in database. So right now, our user has a user code 1506, username Mr. Code Mechanic, and avatar. The password is encrypted with MD5. Now, in this tutorial, I also added the module MD5. So, if you don't know how to install module, check part 1 of our tutorial series. So now let's go back on our login component. We have our password, hash to MD5, and that password and user code is being passed as JSON parameter to login endpoint. So once we successfully retrieve or check if the user exists, now we set the token, perform login successful, and set user. Login success is just similar with our previous tutorial in which we set the islog flag to true, which results to the mylogin component to be hidden and our B container to be displayed. So these are the display of our component. Now the set token flag, or rather the set token function, it is in here that we, by the way, the set token function accepts a parameter user. So that's just a JSON with the following properties: user ID is active, user code, password, username, and avatar. Now in the set token, so it accepts a user parameter. Now our session ID is just our user password. So probably if you have the better implementation of this one would be to use a unique identifier, probably hash the user ID so that a good unique session value is created. Now after creating a unique identifier for that session, it is stored in the local storage with the key token. So right now, it's this one in the local storage. So if you refresh the browser or create another instance of Chrome, it remembers or it recognizes the session through that local storage variable. Now, we have here a UI builder that's sent with a topic session. The token is the session ID with the payload user details and the session. When we call this function, it goes here. Our topic was login, so it goes here, login, and it stores the details, this detail, topic, login, session, token, payload, with the key token. So it is stored in the server side. And since this just loops, it triggers the onChange function with the value login, and it sets the user detail with the one from this one. And it sets our islog flag to true as well. So that means our login form is hidden and our B container is displayed. If you check it from our Excel, this is the part when we are not yet logged in. When we refresh the page, it triggers the on change. And once we log in, it sends, uh, it creates a validation access database whether the user exists. And once it exists, it retrieves that detail, send it to the server for uh, for storage. Next is what will happen if we refresh the page. So, or another, we load our page from another instance of Chrome. When we do that, it performs the onload function and our token has a value now. When we perform the UI builder that's send with the topic startup, it checks our session. Since our session has a value, it just no sorry about that. When we load the page, it performs the UI builder that send, and the UI builder that sends the message across this one. Now our topic of that one is startup. So our startup is this one, and our session now is not undefined since we previously stored that using this node. So we will just check if our message.token is not undefined. Then we will retrieve that from the flow. And from the flow, we will check or get the session details. So that's details, session unique ID, and the payload details. And once we return that message, it just go back here and triggers the onChange method, and our session has a value of this one and is true and displays the other details in our web page. So another change I have made with this one is that it is now using the avatar link from our database and the username from our database. So right now, the user is Mr. Code Mechanic with the icon hard hat and a gear. Now, I had explained how we had performed a login and session creation. For the next part, let's check how the logout works. So once we log out, our session is now invalid. So even when we open a new instance of browser, we need to provide the username and password. If you refresh this one, it is already logged out. So how does logged out work? Logout starts by clicking the sign out link, which in turn calls the perform logout function from our index.js. Here is our logout, perform logout with the value this that logout user, in which that's this one. So what will it do when called? The logout user will check if the token exists, and whether it exists or not, it sets the slug flag to false, which in turn displays the login form and hides the B container. If ID is not null, we perform UIBuilder.send with the topic logout, token ID, and a parameter empty payload. So again, when we perform the UIBuilder.send, it passes the message from the UIBuilder node to this node, and our topic is logout. It goes to this path, and in here we set the message to the token key with the value undefined, and performs the logout function. Since again this is loop, it will trigger the onChange event in our index.js. So it's here we again set the slug to false and remove the token from our local storage. If you check it, Control Shift I, we don't. I think I like it again. Let's try. So here, our token has been removed, and in the server side, our token is also been removed by setting the token to undefined.